All right, here we are at Sheridan Airport, just north of Indianapolis, and today is March the 27th, and it's almost noon. We're going to go out and attempt to make the world record for the most number of consecutive spins in one flight. That's not turns, but that's individual spins. So I've got two guys on the ground that'll validate this, and we'll have a GoPro. We'll have flight-aware as well as Cloud Ahoy to document it, as well as some cockpit audio to go with it. So we'll see in a bit. All right, we are strapped in and ready to go. We're going to go see what we can do. The most number of individual spin flights or spins in one single flight. We'll see how many. I'm going to do sets of 10, and we'll see how many of those we can do. I've got an idea in mind, but we'll find out what that number ends up being here in just a few minutes. We'll let you know. See you in a few. Thanks. We did it. Come check this out. Look at there. Got 100 spins.
100 spins.
Yeah, look at my hands. Holding on to that black part. It was a blast, but the biggest problem I had was I had forgot to take some water. So I was really, really thirsty because I'm pretty dry right now, but it was a great experience. We got 100 in. It was awesome.
Great.
Hi, I'm Robert Haynes. I'm looking forward to sharing this video with you about our record-setting flight. Happened on March 27th of 2025 at Sheridan Airport in Indiana. It was witnessed by 3 persons. We recorded it on 2 GoPro cameras with audio, recorded on flight-aware as well as Cloud Ahoy. After each set, a validation transmission was done to the ground crew, which included the set that was completed, my state on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, and the amount of fuel remaining. For example, set 1 complete, 10-26.5. To do our flight of 100, I did sets of 10 spins, and it was done 10 times. The spins included a combination of these types: a 60-degree bank with a deep stall into a spin. I did the cross-control stall, which is the base to final skidding turn. I did the docile entry, which is a full stall. I did a snap entry, which is an accelerated stall. I did the Beggs Mueller or the hands-off recovery. I did power on entry, and I did a few fully developed spins with auto rotation. Before we see the video, let's briefly go through some stall and spin principles. The intent of this event was to focus on safety, education, and awareness. Subset of a program I call SPART, which stands for Stall and Spin Prevention, Awareness, and Recovery Training. I do this seminar for groups, and it's recognized by the FAA, and they give Wings credit for it. This presentation is for informational purposes only. It is not to be considered formal instruction. Prior to attempting any maneuver, seek the direct assistance and instruction of a qualified and competent certificated flight instructor. What happens in a stall? A stall is an aerodynamic condition which occurs when smooth or laminar airflow over the airplane's wings is disrupted, resulting in loss of lift insufficient to maintain flight. the critical angle of attack is exceeded. So what is angle of attack? Simply put, the angle of attack is the difference between where the airplane is going and where it's pointed. The angle of attack is the angle at which the chord line of an aircraft meets the relative wind. The chord line is a straight line from the leading edge to the trailing edge. The relative wind is defined as opposite and parallel to the flight path. Angle of attack is not pitch. Pitch is relative to the horizon. I pitched this aircraft up as though it was in slow flight, and you can see the relative wind stays the same because the flight path stayed the same. So what happens in a slip? A slip is an uncoordinated turn whereby the opposite rudder is used to correct for crosswind or lose altitude. During a stall in a slip, the aircraft rolls towards level flight and away from the angle of bank. Note the turn coordinator indications. If the ball is inside of the turn, that's good. A skid is different. A skid is an uncoordinated turn whereby too much rudder is used, thus creating a potentially dangerous situation. During a skid, the aircraft is turning too fast for the angle of bank, and it yaws into the turn and may enter a spin. Note the turn coordinator indications. If the ball is outside of the turn, it's not good. So really simply put, in a stall, the nose will yaw to where the rudder is pointed. The objective of the cross-control stall is to recognize the effects of improper flight control technique when simulating flying through the final segment of the pattern. Note, by far, this is the most potentially dangerous stall. Overly aggressive demonstration of this maneuver can easily end up in a spin. In a cross-control stall, the pilot overshoots the final due to poor planning, a tailwind on base, distractions, perhaps not correcting for crosswinds. The pilot reduces the throttle to idle. They attempt to turn towards the final. So far, so good. Not getting there quick enough, the pilot applies excessive rudder, thus skidding the turn, for example, left rudder. The aircraft wants to overbank, so the pilot applies opposite aileron, for example, right aileron. Now they're cross-controlled. The nose wants to drop, and the pilot applies up elevator, and the aircraft stalls and potentially spins. The aircraft can drop 500 to 1,000 feet in seconds. In our spin syllabus, we actually demonstrate a cross-control that leads to a spin. It is very revealing. This is what I refer to as the Universal Stall Recovery Method, PRPR. Push, neutralize the elevator to unload the wings. Roll your wings level to the horizon. P for power, adjust as necessary. And then R for recover and stabilize the aircraft. Note, this is not the spin recovery technique. So PRPR. In a spin, both wings are in a stalled condition, but one wing will be in a deeper stall than the other. The drag is greater on the more deeply stalled wing, causing the aircraft to auto-rotate or yaw towards that wing. Spins are characterized by high angle of attack, low airspeed, and high rate of descent. Since the high wing's generating more lift than the low wing, it rolls your aircraft into a spin. At the same time, The low wing is generating more drag since it has the higher angle of attack. The drag yaws you into the spin. When both of these forces combine, you end up in a fully developed spin. The right wing is traveling faster and is creating more lift. The left wing is creating less lift and has more drag due to the higher angle of attack. The result is rotation to the left. Simply put, a spin is a stall with yaw. If the aircraft does not stall, it does not spin. If the aircraft stalls, but there is no yaw, it does not spin. I will demonstrate this in the first maneuver of every set, and we will be in a deep stall with a 60-degree bank. As long as we're coordinated, the aircraft does not spin. As soon as I interject yaw, which in this case would be left rudder, the aircraft will immediately go into a spin. There are 4 phases to the spin. The entry phase, which requires a stall with a yawing motion. The incipient phase, which is developing and imminent. The fully developed phase, characterized by auto-rotation and is stabilized. And the recovery phase, which is the technique to regain control and return back to normal flight. The spin recovery procedure we often think of as PARE, P-A-R-E, which is power to idle, aileron to neutral, rudder opposite to stop the rotation, elevator forward to break the stall. This may be dependent on the aircraft type. Some aircraft require a stick fully forward, some just ain't neutralized. Then the free part of that is flaps up, rudder neutral, then elevator to pull out. Why people die in spins? It's counterintuitive to push the stick forward when spinning towards the ground. The natural response is to pull back. In doing so, you only make the angle of attack worse, and you never recover from the spin. This aircraft, the first one is in a spin. The second one shows proper recovery with pitching forward and reducing the angle of attack. When the aircraft is pitched up, the angle of attack is increased and it gets worse. Adding power, which is a pro-spin input, increases the downforce on the tail and makes the spin flatter. Without proper recovery, the pilot does not recover and bad things happen. Best practices for simple spin prevention. The aircraft must be stalled in order for a spin to occur. To prevent a spin, be proficient at all your stall recoveries. If there is no yaw, then the aircraft does not spin. If you do stall, ensure that you stay coordinated. Simple stall recovery technique. Push to unload the aircraft's wing and decrease the angle of attack. Roll, use your ailerons and roll the wings level. Power, reduce or add power as appropriate. And then recover, which is return the aircraft to stabilized flight. So push, roll, power, recover. A specific note regarding Beggs-Mueller. You will see me demonstrate the Beggs-Mueller recovery method several times. While this is an effective recovery method in early phases of incipient spins, it is not an acceptable method in a developed spin. You must initiate the PARE recovery method in a developed spin. We strongly encourage you to get proper spin training from a qualified and competent CFI. Do not try this on your own. Having laid this foundation, let's enjoy the video. Thanks for watching.
Sheridan traffic stopping 614 Charlie's spin training about a mile north of Sheridan, 6,500 below, and set 1, 10 and 29.2. All right, this is going to be the first of several that we do. All right, so the first one's going to be a deep stall. Time now is 12:33 Eastern Time. All right, first one here, deep stall. If the airplane doesn't stall, it doesn't spin. So power to idle, and we're going to go at 65 miles an hour. When we do, we're going to roll to a 60-degree bank. Here's a 60-degree bank right there, and the airplane wants to stall. I got the stick fully back. It's not stalling because we're coordinated. Now, as soon as I kick left rudder, it flips right over into a spin. There's our spin, opposite rudder, stick forward, neutralize our feet, pull out. And we're going to zoom right back up to altitude. So that is number 1. And we're right back up to altitude. Let's do a cross control stall. I'm going east at this point. I'm going to come back to 1,500 RPM. I'm going to go at 65 miles an hour. And I'll do my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 method. So a cross control stall is basically a base to final turn. So power to idle, there's 1, there's 2. That's a left turn, so I'm skidding the turn now. Left aileron, or left rudder, right aileron, there's flip, there's turn, spin, opposite rudder, stick forward, neutralize my feet, pull out. Climb back up. That's spin number 2. That is a cross control stall. We'll get right back up to altitude, then we're going to do a docile entry to a spin. And in the docile entry, we're basically just going to let the airplane completely stall. And then when it stalls, we'll kick the left rudder. We'll do 1 left, 1 right. All right, we're back up to altitude. All right, so power to idle. I'm going to pitch the nose up about 20 degrees. Let it completely stall. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. There's the stall. So left rudder, stick all the way back. There's our spin. So right rudder, neutralize the stick. Forward, pull out. That's number 3. That is what I call a docile entry because it's nothing but a complete stall. All right, number 4 will be a docile entry to the right. Here we go, air's clear, ADSB is clean, looking good. So power to idle, we're going to pitch up about 20 degrees, let the airplane completely stall. There's 60 miles an hour, here it comes, and there's the stall, so we're in the turn. So we're spinning, so power to idle, ailerons neutral, rudder opposite, stick forward to make stall. I neutralize my feet, pull out, nose coming through the horizon. And we're going to zoom right back up to altitude. That was number 4. And we're doing a zoom climb, which means we have just slightly less than 1 G, so it can get down to below stall speed, not stall the aircraft. All right, number 5 will be a snap entry. And a snap entry is basically just an accelerated stall, so we're going to stall the airplane at 65. All right, we're back up to altitude. Here we go. And we're going south at this point. Power to idle. We're going to go 65. There it is right there. 65. There's our kick the rudder. And we're in the spin right now. So power to idle. And the rudder opposite. Stick forward to break stall. I neutralize my feet. Pull out. Coming through the horizon. Full power. And we're going to go right back up to altitude. That was number 5. All right, we're right back at altitude. Let's do 1 to the right. This would be a snap entry to the right. Here it is, there's 65. So we're in the spin right now. So power to idle, ailerons neutral, rudder opposite, stick forward to make the stall, neutralize my feet, pull out. And coming through the horizon, we're going to zoom right back up to altitude. That was number 6. 7 and 8 will be power on spins. The aircraft, when it does a power on spin, it's going to be more agitated, more aggravated. So we're going to come back to 2,000 RPM. ADSB is clean, the area is clear. We're looking good. All right, there's 2,000 RPM. I'm going to hold my altitude until I hit 65. I'm at 80 right now. Let that airspeed continue to bleed off a little bit. And at 65, we're going to...
Traffic, 120 to Plum Charlie, departing southern to the southeast 1.
Coming up on 65, looking good. ADSB is clean. Area is clear. Here's 65. And let's go. There's the power now. First thing we do is power to idle. 8 on neutral, rudder opposite. Stick forward to brake stall. I neutralize my feet. Pull out. That is a power on entry. That was number 7. Now let's do one to the right. We're back up at 5,500. Let's do one to the right. So let's go 2,000 RPM. We'll hold our altitude. We're looking for 65. Area's clear. ADSB is clean. Got about 10 more miles an hour to go. I'm going to slow that engine down just a little bit. There's 70. Coming up on 65, here it is, and there's the entry right there. So we're in a power on spin, so power to idle, 8 on neutral, rudder opposite, stick forward to brake stall, I neutralize my feet, pull out, nose coming through the horizon, power back, let's zoom right back up. That was number 8. The next thing we'll do will be the Banks Mueller, which will be the hands-off recovery. That's looking good here. So we're going to go power to idle. We're going to go right on this one. Going to pitch the nose up. And there's a snap entry to the right. And we're just going to let go of our hands and feet. And it comes right out all of its own. That's the Banks Mueller, or the hands-off recovery. For Cessna pilots, that's often the way they're taught to recover from a spin, is just let go. That only works in the incipient phase. It doesn't work in the fully developed phase. All right, this next one's going to be a fully developed spin. And this one's a bit more intense. We're going to get some, a little bit of centrifugal force going here, and this one will be fully developed. And you'll notice quite a bit of difference here. All right, we're going to go 65 to the left. Here it comes. There's our turn, and we're in the spin, so here it comes. Now you can see we're fully developed. So we're opposite. Stick forward, brake stall, neutralize my feet, pull out. And we're going to stick forward, and we're going to climb right back out. That was number 10. Sheridan traffic, stopping 614 Alpha Charlie is doing spin training north of Sheridan. Spin 1 complete, and we're at 10 and 28.3. Looking good.
Home stretch, my friend.
Yeah, buddy. All right, this will be the last set of 100. So the very first one we're going to do is going to be the deep stall. So I'll repeat what I did the very first time. I'm going to come back power to idle. Let it go to 65 miles an hour. There it is. So I'm going to roll into the stall and a 60-degree bank. Deep, deep, deep stall. The airplane wants to spin. I'm not going to let it because I'm staying coordinated now. I'm going to kick a little bit of left rudder, and she flips right into a spin. So opposite rudder, stick forward, neutralize my feet, pull out. That's a deep stall with a spin. You can see my counter here. It keeps track. I'm up to 91 spins in this flight. All right, the next one's going to be our cross and roll stall. And we're going east right now. I'm going to pretend the north-south road. Here's my runway. So I'm going to come back to 1,500 RPM. I'm going to be looking for 65, which will be basically my speed on a left base. There's 65, so oh man, I just shot through. So let's go power to idle, that's 1. I'm going to start a left turn as 2. Not getting there quick enough, so I'm going to skid the turn. Airplane wants to overbank, I get right in, I pull up, and we flip right over to a spin. So We're going to recover from that just like we normally would. And we lost about 500 feet in just about 4 seconds we did. All right, that's our cross control stall. Next one we're going to do is going to be a docile entry to a spin. So in the docile entry, that's nothing but a complete stall. We're going to let the aircraft completely stall. Then first one's going to be to the left. We're going to kick the left rudder. All right, so power to idle. We're going to pitch up. ASB is clean, airless clear, looking beautiful. Here comes the stall, and we're going to go left. We're going to kick the left rudder, keep that stick back, so power to idle, and on neutral rudder opposite, stick forward to brake stall, and neutralize my feet, pull out, coming through the horizon, bring the power out. That is a docile entry to a spin. And we'll get right back up to altitude. Area stir, ADSB is clean. We're looking really good. There is no traffic at this airport at all. The last hour and a half, we've had one guy land. All right, this is going to be a docile entry to the right. So, power to idle. We're going to keep our nose up here. Don't let it completely stall. Stick is coming back. Here it comes. There's my spin. We're in the spin, so power to idle, and on neutral rudder opposite, stick forward to brake the stall, and I'll neutralize my feet, pull out. Nose is coming through the horizon, and we're going to climb right back up. All right, this will be a snap entry to the left. All right, so power to idle. Ailerons neutral. We're going to snap it at 65. There it is. And we're in the spin, so power to idle. Ailerons neutral, rudder opposite. Stick forward to brake the stall. I neutralize my feet, pull out. Nose coming through the horizon. I'll add power and climb back up. We'll do power on to the right. I got 2,000 RPM, 5,500, area stir, ADSB is clean. We're looking good. Looking for 65, there it is right there. So pull, there's the turn, so we got the power in, so power to idle, and on neutral, rudder opposite, stick forward to brake stall, I neutralize my feet, pull out. Nose coming through the horizon, I have my power back. We'll do a snap entry to the left. Power to idle. Ailerons, here we go. There's my turn to the left. There we are. So power to idle. Ailerons neutral, rudder opposite, stick forward to brake stall, neutralize my feet, pull out. We'll do a snap entry to the right. Power to idle. Pitch up. And here we go. There's snap entry to the right. There it is. And recover. Power to idle. Rudder opposite. Stick forward. Neutralize. Pull out. Do the big Miller. We'll go right on this one. Power to idle. 65 snap. There we go. We're going to let go. Comes out all on its own. And our very last one is going to be a fully developed spin. All right, there's clear. ADSB is clean. Here we go. Power to idle. 65 snap. There we go. 1. There, we're fully developed. All right, go to opposite, stick forward, neutralize our feet, pull out. That is 100 spins. Yes, we did 100. Very exciting. Sure, driver stop 614. Charlie is done spin training with 100 in the bank.
Love that fully developed at the end. That's the grand finale.
Couldn't see it?
Absolutely.